For me, it's two separate things. Maybe be concerned about Duke, but don't be concerned about Kara.
Welcome to We Need to Talk Now, presented by AT&T. I'm Alicia J, and I'm here with Erica L. Ayala. So excited to talk with you today because it is officially NWSL Championship week, Erica.
Yes.
I'm pumped. Actually, Emma and I are going to, we're going to be there. So we'll have a lot of NWSL stuff on deck for you. But as of right now, we're going to talk about the teams that will be facing off against each other, the semifinals that led to that. Washington is back for another shot at the trophy and we'll face off against Gotham. So we'll make sure to get all into that. We're also going to break down 3 big things in women's college basketball. We loved it so much last week. We're going to run that back. And then, of course, we have a little bit of WNBA off-season news. So a packed show, Erica, a packed show. So I hope you're ready to talk all about it. And I hope that all of you are ready to tap in all the ways that you can. Make sure that you smash that like button. In addition to subscribing, you want to be tapped in every way possible because we have so much in women's sports coming down the line for you like we do every week. So tap in, smash that like button. It's there for a reason and it helps us out. So make sure that you do all the things. Now, speaking of things, we have some big things to talk about in women's college basketball, Erica. I know the beginning of the season has not disappointed in any way. We've had some great games to watch and some great players to watch, including Audi Crooks. I mean, can we talk about how amazing she has been? Definitely a star at Iowa State. And let's just give a little bit of background. So she had a historic 43 points in 20 minutes, 18 for 23 field goals against Valparaiso. And she had the flu while she did this. Not a lot of people knew that. She was very sick while she made that history. And there were so many people that had a lot of reaction to this. Well, first, before we get into these tweets, what was your reaction to the history that she made?
I mean, listen, Audi Crooks been putting people on notice. I think that she gets so much negative attention for things that I'm not going to get into it right now because it's ridiculous. But she has proven time and time again that she is an athlete, that she is able to be a leader for her squad. And a lot of why we talk about her team is because of what she's been able to do. I mean, this is a Cyclones team that has shown with Crooks, of course, as a part of the fold that they can be a contender much more than people had expected, for that Iowa State team. So I love to see it. I absolutely, when you see a player get into their bag like that, and then you notice or you get the story that they weren't even feeling well. Like, imagine what sis could do when she's feeling 100%. I think it's amazing. And I just love following her on social media, whether it's her singing or I just get the fact that, or I get the impression that her energy is positive. She's got a contagious, loving, a positive energy and can ball to boot. So I'm here for it.
Yeah, I'm here for it too. And so were a lot of people, including University of Wisconsin coach Brad Fisher. He joked that I owe my post players some love today for holding her to 24 points in 23 minutes. I know that's right, Brad.
That's how you know. That's how you know when the coaches are like, hey, good job on this one.
Right. And he definitely did. And listen, I'm not mad at that. He probably gave them a little talking to before then. And then when he saw this, he was like, hold on, let me backtrack a little bit.
Y'all did that.
Give you guys what you deserve because you did that. You know what I'm saying? Hilarious. But yeah, she's definitely having a solid season already. And one thing I love about her is she has continued to get better every single year in her collegiate career. And she is focused on improvement. She has said this, not records. I'm focused on improvement. The records are obviously coming. We saw, a historic one the other night, but anyone who is focused on their team, focused on improvement, and just overall has good vibes, because that's just what she has. I am here for it. And in addition, she has a solid team. Like I think in a lot of ways that we haven't even begun to see what this Iowa State team can do. And so, I mean, you have Alyssa Williams, you have Addie Brown, and really the list goes on and on for the team. So she's not the only one balling on this team, but she's definitely a great leader. She's shown us what she can do, is making history, and she's getting better with every game. So if you're not watching her, I don't know who you're watching, because you should have the list. You should have her on the list. Now, we have to get into this, Erica. This was something really, really big. It took social by storm, the sports world by storm, but number 15, Duke, was upset by West Virginia. And it happened. There was a lot of things that happened. Okay. I was actually in studio while this was happening. And we posted something on social right away because we knew it was such a big thing. Like, people were going to be talking about it, but there was an altercation in the game. Jordan Wood blocked a shot attempt by West Virginia's Jordan Harrison as time expired in the first half, and they got into it. Now, 5 of the West Virginia players left the bench. So that's important to know. They left the bench. And by the end of it, there were 6 Mountaineers that were suspended and 1 Duke player. And the Mountaineers only had 5 players left and went on to beat Duke 57-49. Now, it's also important to know that Duke they lost their opener to Baylor and are 2-2 on the season. With this said, there has been so much conversation around, Duke, like should we be concerned for them? And also, Kara Lawson, should we be concerned about her being the USA head coach? So this is all spurred from Duke. So right now, should we be concerned about Duke?
I mean, I think my answer would be, honestly, maybe, because Duke has been a team under Kara Lawson, certainly before Kara Lawson, that they have to play a certain way to be in games, and then they have to play that style of game dang near to perfection to be able to win those games. We've known that about this Duke team. We saw what they were able to do last season, even in the tournament, with their defensive end. If they hold opponents, high scoring opponents ranked before them, to below their average in points, that's what this Duke team is built to do. So that being said, when they're not doing that, they're not able to execute that, when perhaps, they're being out hustled, or that's a cause for concern. And then when you play a team that only has 5 players, first of all, shout out to the Mountaineers strength and conditioning squad. Okay, like, we gonna give. I don't know who you are. I'm sorry that I don't know your names, but y'all had that team ready. Okay, game fit is a real thing. Opening up the lungs, getting the legs ready at this time of season. That's how you get upsets. And so you have to give credit to West Virginia. The scrappiness, the moxie, the sandpaper, as I like to say, that's huge. And yes, I think you can see a world in which it's like, okay, hold up, wait a minute, what we doing, Duke? What's happening with the Blue Devils? I think that's fair criticism, honestly. Now, where it goes beyond the pale for me is to question Kara Lawson and her ability to, with basically, an all-star team for USA, almost said hockey, for USA basketball, to think that Kara Lawson can't handle that role, I think these are two different things right here. I believe in Kara Lawson as a coach. She's been in the USA basketball system for quite some time as a player first, and of course, as a coach, we've seen her be successful in the 5-on-5 and 3x3 formats for USA basketball. So no, I think these two things are separate. I only understand Lawson to have the respect of the women's basketball community, which of course would include players that we're expecting to be a part of that USA basketball pool. So like, let's not get it twisted. Just because things with the Duke Blue Devils perhaps are concerning. And again, this is a team that has fought and clawed to be a ranked team, but it's by no means a guarantee. That's just how they're built. They have to play, again, expertly to be able to get the results that they want. I mean, I don't know, Alicia. I don't know how, if you what you think about this, but to me, it's two separate things. Maybe be concerned about Duke, but don't be concerned about Kara.
I would echo a lot of what you said, especially like, let me just break it down kind of thing by thing. So the Mountaineers, in addition to the respect you just put on their name by saying, you know, strength and conditioning, you know, that they did a great job in that game. I also think we need to put more respect on their name because they've had a great showing in the last 2 years, and they are a deep team. I think in some ways, this team isn't ranked as high as they should be, right? And so
I could get with it.
Yeah. And so I think when you think about that, it's like, yes, numbers wise, they were underdog, but they have been a team that has been to the tournament. They've had a great showing in the tournament for the last 2 seasons, and they've had a great start to this season themselves. And so I think there's a little aspect in that. Also, when you have something like this happen in a game, sometimes you play superhuman as well. Like, and it just, you know, when you have your kind of like back up against the wall and you only have 5 players. I mean, here's a quote that I found from Sydney Shaw. When you have nothing to lose, you might as well just put it all out there. At the end of the day, when you have 5 players and no bench and the other team has their entire bench, you're not exactly the first choice to win. We were definitely just playing loose. And, you know, I think that's a factor in this as well. Like, hey, only 5 players, all I can do is ball out. That's it, right?
No
There's
choice.
No other choice. So should there be concern for Duke specifically because of this game? I don't know. I'm looking more at the loss to Baylor. I'm looking more at the overall thing than just this game specifically, because I think we didn't give West Virginia enough, you know, enough respect, like going into a game like this. And then also in addition, you have something that nobody could plan that happened and people reacted to it. So there's that.
Yeah.
I also agree that the USA basketball and the Duke thing are 2 totally different things. I do. But what I would say is I don't think this game sparked the conversation about her not being able to be the USA basketball coach. I think it just kind of added to some things that people were already saying. I personally think she's prepared to be that coach and can be that coach. However, there are people on social that were saying that, you know, she doesn't have the same pedigree as some of the coaches that have been in that specific spot before. People were saying this. I'm not saying they're right. I see your face, Erica. I see your face.
I'm sorry.
But
I fix it.
No, don't fix it. It is how you feel. You know what I'm saying? But some people are saying that she doesn't have as extensive experience in being a head coach as some of those coaches do.
Okay, that's
and
fair.
While she's been at Duke since 2020, her best finish has only been making it to the Elite 8. Now, it's hard to make it to the Elite 8, let's be clear. But they're saying as coaches that came before her, maybe she doesn't stack up in that respect. And so this is just adding to the conversation that has already been happening. I don't know if it sparked it, but I feel like it's giving people who already had these misgivings like another thing to put in their arsenal when it comes to their position.
Yeah, those are I mean, those are opinions.
They are.
Those
I don't agree with those opinions, but I have seen them.
Right.
I have seen them.
I think what we can say as fact, does she have as much head coaching experience as Cheryl Reeve? Absolutely not. Not a lot of people do, if we keeping it a buck. I mean, Dawn Staley hadn't been a head coach as long as Cheryl Reeve before she got the role. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I think I understand that. And there are times where you run across a basketball mind, Alicia, and their work ethic, the way they view the game and the way they can impact people is just, it speaks for itself. For me and everything I've been able to witness, Kara Lawson as a player, college, USAB, WNBA, winning championships in Sacramento. I know you know something about that area. You know what I'm saying? Like, I like, to me, it's good enough. And, you know, I think the criticism with regard to the Duke program, it's valid and fair because we know what Duke women's basketball has been able to do in the past. And my take on it is that's why you bring in a Kara Lawson to return to that. But I think everyone, Lawson, the program, I hope everyone understood that this was going to be a program that in a lot of ways had to be rebuilt. This wasn't a hybrid rebuild. This wasn't just a retool. This program has needed to shift. And how far Kara Lawson will get this program, who knows? I think, again, defensively, we've seen what they can do. But, you know, like, you got to give things time. And it's, you know, all of that history is not working in the favor of this program as of now. And sometimes you have to separate that. It's fair because it's the history of the program and it's out there. What are you going to do? But, you know, I think it's a tough position. And maybe, like I said, maybe you do have to be concerned about Duke, but I guess we'll find out. You know, how do you bounce back? Like you said, especially from that Baylor loss.
Yeah, we will definitely find out. And also, just to remind everyone, we're just weeks into women's college basketball. We're just weeks into it. It's like, we got to give people a little time, just a little bit of time to figure it out.
Okay, conference yet.
Yeah, and we saw that in the W season this season. If you want to, I mean, so many teams had to work through so many things to get to where they are. And we saw the Aces, they were the champions at the end of the day, and they certainly had to work through some things. So we just got to give it a little bit, just a little bit more time.
A 53-point loss, darling. Ooh, come on now.
Yeah. And maybe this loss is just what Duke needs, you know, to fuel them. Like, the losses are just as important as the wins. Truly.
Hey, listen, didn't we have to talk about that when it came to UConn last year? And Paige got that team together. They got them ready.
All the way right.
Go ahead and played that team again in the finals, and it was a different story. I mean, UConn is another perfect example.
Well, speaking of UConn, let's talk about the third big thing of the week. And this, she's just going to be big no matter what. Not of the week, just of all time, is Sarah Strong. Now, I just gave away how I feel about her in the intro. But, I mean, she has just been playing some beautiful, stellar, amazing basketball in every single way. And so many people had a lot of things to say about this. Let's just look at a tweet from Paige Beckers. Or actually, we're going to look at this one first from Trey K. The gap between Sarah Strong and the next best player in college basketball is probably as wide as it's been since senior year Stewie. Now, I just want to get your reaction off top to this. Do you agree with Trey K on this?
Listen, first of all, I'm here for any Sarah Strong, Breanna Stewart comps that are out here in these streets. Listen, she's already got one championship. Now, it's a heavy task. You got to get all three in the next 3 years, Sarah Strong, to be in that Stewie conversation for me. You know what I'm saying? Because Stewie held it down. That being said, you know, a lot of people talked about, oh, well, UConn and the conference they were in and baka. Stewie had nothing to do with that. She had nothing to do with that. But you know what Stewie does well still to this day? She shows up in big games and she does what her team needs her to do. And that is what I see from Sarah Strong. Now, am I willing to say, you know, the widest gap since the Stewie era and specifically her senior year? You know, I need a little more time. Just like we were just saying, it's still early in the season. It's early in Sarah Strong's career. But, ooh, child, like, I could see it. I could definitely see it, Alicia.
I could see it too. And I like the next tweet we're going to put up with Paige Beckers. This is how I was when I was watching Sarah. She said, Sarah Strong, no words. And that's how I feel when I see her. Now, we all know from the beginning, Sarah Strong came out. She could have skipped college altogether and went straight to the WNBA. Let's be clear. This is how I feel about Sarah. She came out with a very professional-like game from the start. And we are just seeing her improve. I don't know how, but improve in leaps and bounds even in this little bit of time we've had in the college season so far. I mean, I saw her, she had a monster, I cannot remember exactly who it was, but I just remember I got up out of my seat because she had a monster block. I mean, to the point where like I felt bad for the player. Like I, you know, it was hard for me. It had a monster block, took it all the way to the other basket and scored, didn't need anybody. You know what I'm saying? So and in addition to that, this quote, and I don't think we actually have this one up, but I'll just read it here. This is from Jelani Cambridge. Please forgive me if I'm saying, no, this is correct. Ohio guard. You can't really scout her. It's hard to scout her. She can do everything. And that is what I see from her is she has every basketball tool you could have. So it makes her, when I think about this gap that they're speaking of, it's too early for me to say that as well.
Yeah.
But I can see it because she has every single tool that you could have as a basketball player.
And that's why I love the Stewie comp, honestly, for real.
Yeah.
That's why I love the Stewie comp. And sometimes it's gotten Stewart perhaps in a situation where she wasn't necessarily set up for her to have the most success as far as the most points or the most rebounds or whatever metric you want to look at. If you look at Sue Bird, I forget which year, but with USAB, you know, Stewie playing the 3 or the 4, but she can play 1 through 5. And it was like, yeah, she might have been MVP with the Storm, or she might have, you know, had these accolades with USA basketball had she been playing in her true position. Because who knows at this point, what is Stewie's true position? What is Sarah Strong's true position? And you know what? She get it from her mama and her daddy. Like, I want to be disrespectful. You know what I'm saying? Like both her parents are elite level basketball players. You know what I'm saying? And so to have that pedigree, and you talk about the professionalism again, you have been able to, as you're coming up in basketball, and if I'm not mistaken, Strong kind of maybe committed to basketball at a high level a little later, but you have people who have been through it all and are ready to, you know, help their daughter meet success. And then you go to a program like UConn. Come on, man, what we doing?
What are we doing? What we are going to be doing is watching Sarah Strong ball out. That's what we finna be doing.
I know that's right.
Because it has been a beautiful thing to watch. And those are our 3 big things, but we had to throw in one more, Erica. Yeah. We had to throw it in because this conversation went up on social media after the last game that Notre Dame had. Now, Hannah Hidalgo, she has also been balling herself. She against Akron, she had a record 44 points, 9 rebounds, 4 assists, and a record 16 steals, which is
insane. That's wild.
Insane, Erica.
That's disrespectful, like by herself.
Like totally disrespectful. But then went on, I mean, just crazy. I had to blink a couple times because I could not believe it was 16. Exactly. But then went on against Michigan and had 12 points, 3 rebounds, 4 assists, and 3 steals, committed 7 turnovers. That's also an important thing to note, and went 0 from 8 from the 3. So 0 and 8 from the 3. So that's an important thing to note. And in addition, Notre Dame went on to have a 93 to 54 point loss, which is Coach Niele Ivey's worst loss since beginning to coach Notre Dame in 2020. So with all of this said, you know, Hannah is doing her thing, but obviously, and again, it's early in the season, but consistency is something to note of as well. You can't really do 16 steals and 44 every game, though. I'm sorry. You just can't. However, what my question is, can Notre Dame evolve into more than just Hannah Hidalgo? Because we know she can't do it herself.
Right. And that's the biggest question for me. I think some people were asking this question maybe even a little bit last season, but you have to remember that, yes, Miles had been hurt here and there during the Hidalgo era, because now this is her junior year, right? So even the last 2 seasons, if we look at, the answer for last season came in the form of Sonia Citron. I'm telling you, once we got to tournament, I was like, I know a lot of people talking about Miles. Is she going to come out of the draft? Newsflash, or spoiler alert, she did not. She's at TCU. We'll talk about that. But, and then I was like, y'all better watch out for Sonia. And then we saw what she did in her rookie season in the WNBA. So now without Miles, without Sonia Citron, Hidalgo, excuse me, there's a lot that she's absorbing. And so with any team, you have to be able to make sure that your star player is not, it's not everything your team is predicated on. You need other people. We've seen that time and time again. Yes, we're talking about 43 points for Crooks, 44 points for Hidalgo. And just like you said, 44 points, 16 steals, that's not sustainable for one individual. So how are other players going to step up, and how does Coach Ivy press the right buttons with rotations or whatever the case is to make sure that this is a team that is a little bit more, bulletproof? And I think that it's possible, but again, it's early. So how do you get things acclimated? What changes? And I think another part of this is, okay, Michigan. Okay, period. Michigan. Like, they had that scout. They had the scout and they stuck to the scout, clearly.
Well, and also they wanted to get their lick back. Let's be clear. They said the game last year in the NCAA tournament left a bad taste in our mouths. This was Olivia Olson saying this. And so we wanted our get back. So
and got it.
They definitely got it. It's also important to note that 3 returning starters are sophomores. 4 sophomores combined for 52 points, 25 rebounds, and 11 assists.
That's what I'm saying.
I mean, so they had the motivation. They have the team. In a lot of ways, people are saying that Michigan is flying under the radar in the Big Ten. So, they're up to 6th in the country as of Monday's AP poll. But there's a lot, just like as we were talking about before with West Virginia and Duke, there are also a lot of factors in this game that with, whether it be emotion, your get back, and also just maybe not being recognized, or Michigan being recognized rather, as a team as good as they are, right, going into this. I think it's another example of that right here, which happens early on in the season.
Yes, 100%. The thing I will add is also Michigan coming from the Big Ten. The Big Ten now with the Pac-12, basically several Pac-12, former Pac-12 teams coming to the Big Ten. This is a conference that we're seeing, what we've seen in years past in the ACC, what we see in the SEC. These are conferences where once you get to conference play on a regular, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, you're playing tournament teams. And Michigan is wanting to show that they can play with the big teams, with the big dogs. Now that, and again, you've got UCLA, USC, all added to a conference that already has Maryland, that already has Oregon, that already has Iowa. Again, these teams in the last, I don't know how, wherever you want to delineate, 5, 10, 15, these are teams that have been competing in women's basketball, and Michigan knows that they got to keep up with it. But that's that balanced attack. Like you said, 4 sophomores, 52 points. 52 is more than 44. I could do a little math, Alicia. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I'm talking about. That's how teams that go under the radar are going to attack these top teams that have a star. Try to contain that. Just like we talked about with Crooks. Hey, we could cut that down and then worry about the rest. That's what Michigan is doing.
Yeah, so we are going to see so much more of this as we are just starting off. I can't believe that we're just starting off the women's college basketball season, because it's going to be a good one. If any of these matchups, these historic nights for players or anything, if you're not excited, you better be, because this is just like the tip of the iceberg for the season, and we're already seeing amazing things. So stay tuned in and make sure that you stay tuned in with us, because we're going to be talking all about it. Just like we're going to talk about a little off-season news for the WNBA, and that is about All-Star. So it came, there was some conversation that came up recently. There was a tweet actually that Chicago is the only team to bid on the All-Star game for 2026. And so people were kind of like, why? Number one, right? And then also somebody brought to the table here's a crazy idea. Let cities that don't have WNBA teams bid on it. Charlotte, Baltimore, Tampa, Nashville, Kansas City, Denver would all be great.
Okay.
And Mitchell laid that down for us. And I would have to say, just starting out of the gate, I don't see a problem with this. I think if a city is ready for an all-star, if they want an all-star, if they want to execute an all-star, and they have the means and the locations, all of the things that you need for a successful all-star weekend, let's do it. I mean, there are people in those cities that even if they don't have a team, they consume WNBA basketball. It's not just people who live in the cities of the teams. So why not bring it to an amazing city that people would, number one, want to go visit and have fun in, and number two, into cities that we may even want to see a team, or we know that there are a lot of basketball fans there. Like, why not do that, Erica?
I think it makes a lot of sense. We've seen the WNBA, and I would say maybe more of a conservative level, do this a little bit with Canada before the Toronto Tempo. Now we know when we have our next season, the 30th WNBA season, they will be the expansion team rolling in alongside Portland. I think this is a great idea. And shout out to Mitchell. I've worked with Mitchell years in the past, but love seeing him continue to do his stuff. Of course, I know he and I both have a special place in our heart for North Carolina. Raise up, let's go. So Charlotte, I love Charlotte. I think the Greensboro area is always fun, or that triad area. You've got Duke there, you've got NC State, you've got UNC, and of course, the best of them all, Elon University, my alma mater. Okay. But I love that. I think, Tennessee is huge for women's basketball, especially because the Women's Basketball Hall of Fame is there in Knoxville. The history of Pat Summitt, what Tennessee, another program that is looking to return right to its legacy. I love that. But then you have, some of the other cities that Mitchell has here. Mitch has Tampa, Kansas City, Denver. What do we know about these cities outside of just women's basketball, women's sports, and sports overall? These are cities that are vying for more professional teams. And so when you have cities like that, hey, why not? Why not do a little bit of that? We have PWHL that returns to action later this week. They have a takeover tour every year. Denver's on that takeover tour twice this season alone, and has been on the takeover tour for their neutral site games in the past. Don't tell me they're not courting Denver as a possible place to go. So why not do this with the WNBA as well? Because under Kathy Engelbert, we've seen Golden State. Again, we've got Portland. We've got Toronto. We've got Detroit coming back. I mean, again, I just think it makes a lot of sense.
It makes a lot of sense. Mitchell, I don't know you. One day we will meet, but you were spot on, I think, with a lot of these cities that you just laid out. I mean, Nashville, for the same reasons you just talked about, sticks out for me. And also they had that amazing bid for a W team that, they had the logos, the name, the everything, in addition to just plans on why it would be successful. And it's like, why not go into a market like that and see what happens, not to mention, women's sports is everywhere. Fans are everywhere. They're going to come. Like, I personally want to go to Nashville. It's one of the cities I have not been to in my life. So it gives me a reason to go, number one. But also, let's just go to these markets where we have all of these fans that want to go to something like this, but do have to travel to all these cities that do have a W team. So, and then Kansas City also sticks out as they had the first purpose-built stadium for women. So places like that are already tapped into women and women's sports. I mean, let's go there. Let's have a great time. I will say this. There's a couple things. Indiana, They killed it with
They
the
sure did.
All-Star
We were
weekend.
both there.
Oh, we were both there. We had a great time.
Sure
A little
did.
too good on some nights. What?
I blame Liz, producer Liz. That's
I
all.
do too. Come on, Liz. Always
Liz
trying
and Tarika, them two. Listen.
listen. But it was fun though. It was fun. So.
No, because you and I, like, we're like chill.
Yeah.
Until we like get to our like good spot, and then it's like, oh, we going all the way up. Them two is like, come on, you got to get here.
Absolutely. But so we had a great time. But I will say, from the moment you stepped off the plane to going to your hotel, being in the downtown area, they did it right. So take that blueprint and put it in all of these cities, number one. Because I it was the best, in my opinion, from the All-Stars that I've attended now. And everyone has a different experience, but it was the best all-around experience that I've had at an All-Star.
It's up there. It's definitely up there. Vegas has had All-Star a few times. I think they've done pretty well, especially, I guess what would have been around 2019, 2020, somewhere around there, in a lead up to an Olympics. I think Chicago. Now, I know Chicago's, but listen, Chicago is interesting because the last time Chicago had an All-Star, it seemed very rushed. And so that there was a lot of critique and criticism there. There were some comments made about, whether it was even a safe city in some respects, so that was a little wild, but Chicago is up there as far as top three experiences for me. Had a great time. We got to see the Allie Quigley Invitational, aka the 3-point contest. And that was
that was epic.
That was the last year she competed. So now the retired Allie Quigley. So that was epic on so many different levels. But yeah, I'm gonna be curious to see, especially because to me, the surprising part of this story also is that cities don't want to host ? Like, what's that about?
Well, I think there was something, what I read, there was money involved. So there was a share in money, but my thing is, why is it costing people at all? Because when you look at kind of the history of All-Star games, weekends, and why they were created to generate revenue through media rights, sponsorships, and tourism, and a way to boost like the league's brand and fan engagement. All of these things do happen, but if cost is an issue, I just don't understand why we're not getting the sponsorship dollars, especially where we're at in women's sports now, where we're getting these sponsorship dollars in and working with partners so that cost wouldn't be the deterrent. It shouldn't even be in the mix. Like, we should be making money off of these weekends. This is how I feel.
I hear you. I'm with it. I guess, and I know we have, like we said, NWSL Championships weekend we got to talk about here, but maybe we got to talk about this the next time we hop on the mics. Our traditional All-Star game formats even the way to go to woo sponsors in this day and age in sports?
Right. I mean, that is something we definitely should dive into. Emma, take a note, because maybe we can have somebody on who has facilitated these or understands it a little bit better, because I think it's important to know it wasn't just created just because we wanted to have an extra game and showcase. There's a lot of layers as to why.
Right. And
there's a lot of business layers. So I would just like to know why that is even a factor anymore. So yeah, Emma says she already noted it down. So make sure you're tuned in and do all the things so that you can come in for that conversation, because I think it's important to have. But something else that is important that we need to talk about right now, because we are in the NWSL week, we are in the thick of things when it comes to the NWSL Championship, is a vibe check on the NWSL postseason. Okay, so we're going to give you an update on what happened in these semifinal games that are leading to this championship that is coming up. So we had Gotham FC in Orlando Pride. They obviously played a match together. And at the end of that match, Gotham FC won 1-0, so 1-0. And it was a great match to watch on every single level. Orlando Pride is obviously, they were the champions last year, so they're coming into this really trying to run this back. But Jaden Shaw, she's not the only one, but she came in and she said, yeah, so I'm about to score this game winning game winner on a free kick.
On a free kick. Ooh,
on a free
curled that thing in there.
Yes, on a free kick, and definitely has been coming up clutch in this playoffs for Gotham. She said post game, I just knew that I had prepared myself for that moment. I've been working tirelessly on my free kicks. I live for these moments. When you see what Jaden Shaw has done this season and kind of where she came, what are your thoughts on her literally winning this on a free kick?
Okay, listen, first, the free kick, again, beautifully placed. I think another thing that you have to note is that give some credit to the rest of Gotham, because what you also saw on that play is that in hockey, we call it a net front presence, right? When you have someone also attacking. So the way that ball curled in, it obviously went in on its own, but there was also another player there that could have tipped it in. And for me, that's important, because now as a goaltender, who are you looking at? What do you do? And you have to make that decision quickly, because it's a free kick. So the rest of the defense, for the Pride in this situation, they can't recover, right? They can't mark up because everyone is behind the free kicker. So it was just a beautifully placed ball, really good execution overall. Jaden Shaw is someone who we talked about, right? When that trade came through, I was on that show right around the trade, and we talked about this could be a great opportunity, or is some of the noise that had been following Shaw going to prevail? Well, the noise has not prevailed. Shaw has shown that this Gotham team is somewhere where she specifically belongs and has made a huge impact. We talked about Shaw in the last game, right? For them to advance, and right, like underdog, because not buying into it. So I love that. As you mentioned, Orlando, they were trying to defend their title. So taking down the defending champs in the semis is huge.
Yeah, it is huge. It's obviously in sports, you love to see those stories, right? And we'll get more into that when we make our guarantees a little bit later. But definitely looking forward to seeing them in the championship. Gotham FC is on their way, and they will be playing the Washington Spirit. Now, the Washington Spirit, they're returning to the championship for the second straight season. They defeated the Portland Thorns. My heart is broken. I'm sorry, I'm from Portland, just for those of you who don't know. But they defeated them 2-0 in their semifinal game. And it was just one of those ones where it almost seemed like it was written. Not to say that she was the reason why they won, but Trinity Rodman also returned in this game. She'd been out for a month with a knee injury. She came on from the bench in the 90th minute from in front of a sellout crowd at Audi Field. Sorry, I'm still in my Audi. There was 19,365 people there in that sellout. And she almost made it 3-0 in the 6th minute of the second half stoppage time, but it went just wide of the post. But yeah, they defeated this Portland team. It was their 10th NWSL semifinal, the Portland team, but they defeated them 2-0. And what are you excited about seeing with this Washington Spirit team as they go into the championship?
Well, first, as you said, maybe it's not the reason that they won, but Trinity Rodman is a big storyline here, right? Because earlier in the season, she had come back from a significant injury, and then to go down again, that's tough, right, for an athlete. And Washington got to the semifinal game and now in a position to play in the final without a huge marquee player like Trinity Rodman, but you have to look at, again, we kind of talked about it, this by committee way that Washington has been able to play. You look at, Rose Kouassi, and, Croy Bethune. These are players that have needed to step up, and they have. And then when you add a player like Trinity Rodman into the mix, yes, you can talk about strategy. You can talk about rosters and lineups. You can talk about all of these things. But to have a dynamo player like Trinity Rodman available to you late in a game, that can absolutely be a game changer. The thing is, will it be a game changer in the biggest game of the season when you got a team like Gotham who said, Gotham, don't call me an underdog FC, that is ready to guarantee that they're going to get it done?
Well, listen, you just said guarantee. Let's just go into this. We just had a recap of the NWSL semifinals, but we have to talk about who is going to win this championship game, and we're going to do it in our favorite segment of the week, and that is the AT&T Guarantee of the Week, presented by AT&T. Okay, so let's just get into this. All right, we just broke down who is going into the championship. We have Gotham FC and we have the Washington Spirit. Who are you guaranteeing to win the NWSL Championship?
Oof, okay. The first guarantee I have is that this is going to be must watch. You are not going to want to miss this game because, again, the storylines on their own. Jaden Shaw versus Trinity Rodman's comeback. How many minutes is she going to be able to get, etc. This is interesting as far as who I'm guaranteeing to win, because my gut is wanting to say Gotham because I think momentum definitely means a lot. And this is a team that already, again, they themselves have already guaranteed that they're not going to get punked out in these streets. Okay. And so far, they made good on that promise. Then you have, Washington, who they're not new, they're true. They've been doing this thing for a minute, and they're the better offensive team, Alicia. We didn't get to talk about this in the semi, but Gotham didn't even get a shot on goal until late in the game. And they win on that free kick. So set pieces for Gotham is how they have to score. That being said, I love defense. And so if your team defense, you're probably going to go for Gotham. They concede only 25 goals versus 33 for Washington, 240 shots versus 341 for Washington. But again, if you like offense, Washington's probably your choice. 45 goals to 38 for Gotham on the season. They do concede more penalties. So Washington has to play a clean game. If they can keep possession, if they can, stay away from penalties, including giving, again, set pieces, free kicks to Gotham, in theory, what we see from the stats, they should have it. But I don't know. Maybe it's because technically they're kind of my hometown tri-state area team. And I love it. I love a, air quotes, don't come at me, Jaden, air quotes, underdog story.
So your guarantee, just to be clear,
yes,
is Gotham FC.
It's Gotham.
Well, Erica, we are guaranteeing the same team, because my guarantee, just off the strength of, coming, like, I know she said underdog my ass. Okay. Jaden Shaw said that. I know she said that. But technically, if you look at kind of what an underdog is, they have been coming up as an underdog.
They on the come up.
Yes, in this championship, run to the championship. And I love that. I love a great story like that. That's what you want to see in sports. That's one of the reasons why we play sports, right? And consume them and watch them. So I am guaranteeing that Gotham FC is going to win this championship because I want to see it. Okay. Like I said, Emma and I are going to be there. We're all in, so many people are going to be there, and we're going to be watching this on TV. And I want to see this story of them, coming up and getting this championship from where they were to where they're at now. Also, the story of Jaden Shaw, like we've talked about that too, her finding the right place for her. And I love that as well. And also, let's just talk about this. Washington has not scored a game against Gotham this year. Played 2 regular season games. One was 3-0, a Gotham win, and the other was a draw. Ooh. And also in the CONCACAF W Cup, a draw as well. So like I'm not, maybe it's not even an underdog situation. Maybe they just got their card for the year. So I personally That's who I'm guaranteeing. Okay, is
That's fair.
Gotham.
All right. I mean, again, the stats looking good for Gotham. The first New York area team to win a championship in quite some time, and they did it just before the Liberty did. So, they're trying to bring some glory back to the tri-state area. So I'm here for it. I think it's gonna be close, but that's why it's a guarantee also that you have to watch this game. And I don't know, Alicia, we might hop on the mics a little bit after too.
Yes, definitely. We are going to be hopping on the mic after the championship game. We're going to do a post-game live. So make sure that you tune in for that. Also, as I said, Emma and I are going to be there. So we're going to have a whole bunch of social content and interviews that we're going to have coming your way. So make sure that you smash the like button, that you are keyed in with all of our socials, subscribe, do all the things, because you're not going to want to miss out on any of this NWSL footage, or I shouldn't say footage, coverage is the right word. You're not going to want to miss out on any of that. And you're not going to miss any of our shows, because we're going to be talking about that. And also just everything in women's sports, as we do every week right here on We Need to Talk Now, presented by AT&T.